about to go deep with Dan Good.
Annikki, how you going?
I'm good. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm fantastic, actually.
Woo.
Sunday afternoon / evening.
Yes.
It feels good. It's good to get you on finally.
I know. We've had a bit of dilemmas.
Yeah, last few weeks. Well,
Yes.
last few months actually trying to get you on the
Yeah, I
podcast.
know.
Yeah.
Schedules like clashing and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey, as creatives, we're busy all the time.
Yes.
So it's kind of crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to?
Oh, so much. I mean, obviously, as you know, I Krump and I do the dance style. That's like that heavy, raw street dance style Krump. So I've been doing a lot of that. I've been teaching. I've been battling. I've been doing competitions. Also, I've been trying to do a lot of acting as well. Doing auditions and commercial that I did recently.
Yeah.
And something that really stood out for me that I've done recently was like I just did a one-woman show. And it was
really?
It was a combination of street dance and acting and comedy. And it was just like super, super out there,
Yeah.
super random. But I really enjoyed doing that. It was such a good experience.
Yeah, cool. So what was, is that a theatre performance sort of show?
Yeah, so it was for the Mad Dance Festival,
Okay.
and it was at Metro Arts, and basically it was like a creative development. So what a creative development is basically like the first phase of like a theatre show, and then normally theatre shows go through like 3 or 4 of them. So it was part of the creative development section of the Mad Dance Festival, and it was like 20. It went for 20 minutes, but 20 minutes is a solo show. It feels like forever.
That is a long time to be on stage, by yourself the whole time. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, what was your sort of production? Are you able to say?
I can. Well, seeing as it's like a creative development, my the idea constantly keeps changing. And so initially I started with like this really serious idea. I was like, I'm going to tell like my life story and it's going to be super like serious with lots of Krump and street dance. But then as I was developing the show, I kind of felt like that idea was making me really depressed. I was like, this is so serious. And like, I just wanted to have a bit more fun throughout the process. So I ended up incorporating acting a lot more.
Yeah.
And then I had this wild idea where I was like, I'm going to play 4 different characters on the show. And they're going to be like 4 different dance styles or something. And basically I was reenacting. Oh, well, like the show was inspired from a time in my life where I was doing beauty pageants and stuff.
Yeah.
So I played one character who was like the host of a pageant, and he was like an Indian, and I had like a wig and like a moustache and everything, and it was ridiculous. And then he would just like introduce contestants for the pageant, basically, and I called it Miss Street Dance India. It was really silly.
That's
but
awesome.
I got some good feedback from it. People were laughing. People said it was really fun. And the show itself was actually called Distinct. But then Miss Street Dance India was like meant to be the pageant that was happening in the show.
Within the show, yeah.
Yeah, it was really silly. But
So
it was fun.
What were the other characters then as well? I mean, you've just started out by you cross-dressed straight from the first character.
Yes.
Which makes it interesting, and I have so many questions already. But
yeah, so the other character was Karen.
so is it Karen? Yeah.
And she had like a cricket bat, and she was just really crazy and wild. And I made her like a robot dancer type of thing. And then the other character was Sheena. And she was kind of like the more Bollywood inspired one, but she did a lot of like animation and popping. And then the 4th character, I guess that's not really a character because the 4th character was me.
Yeah.
So it was Annikki. And obviously I just Krumped. Yeah. So it was, that was pretty much the show. And then the plot twist was that I was actually in an airport, and there's so many layers to the show.
Yeah, I can tell.
The plot twist was that I was actually in an airport, and then I wake up at the end and I realized it was all a dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild. No. I could tell like the imagination of the whole thing.
You're like, what the hell?
Oh, no, it sounds epic. I'm trying to piece it together in my mind, all these characters, and then you throw that into the twist.
Yeah. It was pretty out
That's
there.
A wild show to watch.
Yeah, it was
But
pretty...
that's entertaining.
Thanks. Yeah, it was... I got some pretty good feedback from it. But what's funny is that because creative development can keep constantly changing and changing and changing.
Yeah.
So this idea that I came up with, I literally made it like a week before the show. So before the showing, I was like, I just completely changed my idea last minute. And I was like, I'm just going to go in with this wild, crazy idea that I have in my head. It's just come to me. I was like, yep, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And this was like a week before the showing. And I just completely changed it. And I remember I had a mentor for this process as well.
Yeah.
Her name's Sammy D. She's like a really dope hip hop dancer, and she's done like lots of theater work. And I remember I told her, it was like 3 days before the showing, I was like, I've just completely changed my whole idea. And she was like, Annikki, are you sure you want to do that? And she's like, that's a bit out there. Like, you sure you want to do that? And then I was just like, yep, I'm doing it. And I just went with it. But yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the best part about creativity, right? It comes from somewhere, that void or what have you, that you are inspired in the moment. And I actually talked about that on my solo podcast I recently did, about getting that creative inspiration and rolling with the motivation behind it and the momentum, because you have to strike at those certain points, because that's where it's coming from. That's where it's authentic. And it's like so organic and just going on in the moment. And you want to tap into that, because sometimes if you write those ideas down and you try to get it down the best you can at the time, but sometimes it's really hard to go back to it if you aren't actually so descriptive with your writing, or your voice messages are really good these days. I find that. But yeah, when it's there, you switch it up and you went with it. I mean, that was obviously your instinct to go with that sort of project, especially doing it on a stage production and a week out. That's kind of nuts. But I guess, so, I mean, would there have been a lot of improvised stuff going on within the moment when you actually did your performance, rather than obviously rehearsing it and knowing the exact movement of everything?
Yeah. So, like all the dancing was freestyle.
Yeah.
And there were moments of the characters that were very much improvised as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got into a studio, like you were saying, the inspiration just kind of hits you. So the idea that I had before that, I kind of felt like I was having so many like hurdles with it. But then suddenly when I came with this idea, I literally just went into the studio the next day and I just did the whole thing. And I was like, well, that's the idea I'm going to go with. It just hit me. Like, even though it's like a few days out, I'm just going to go with that one, because the other idea I've had so many like hurdles with. So, but yeah, because it was only a few days out, I definitely did have a lot of improvised moments in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's compelling on stage, right? And doing those things in the moment, but it's also very scary when you go up there and you're like, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm just going to wing it and we'll see what happens.
But the cool thing about like it being a one-woman show is like, I'm not really, like I was just bouncing off the audience really. Like, so they don't really know if I'm making a mistake. I thought I made heaps of mistakes. And then when I talked to some of the audience members afterwards, they're like, oh, I had no idea that you made a mistake. I was like, oh, that was good. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. Freestyle, right?
Yeah.
Improvised, yeah. Well, that's pretty wicked, I gotta say.
Thanks.
Did someone film it?
Yes, but I don't know if I'm brave enough to upload it anyway.
Yeah, okay, yeah. 20 minutes, that's an epic set to do. Like, was everyone else as long as that, or?
Yes, but I was there was another guy who did a solo show. It was just me and him, I think, that we did solo shows. And then the other creative developments, they had like partners and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty daunting to do a solo show for 20 minutes. By
yourself, yeah. 20 minutes is a long time to be on stage.
Yeah. Well, it was technically not like on a stage. It was like, because it was a creative development. It was like in one of the studios at Metro Arts.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
And then part of the festival, they had like the main shows as well. So they were like in the big, the Brenner Theatre at Metro. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's epic. That sounds fun. I wish I had seen it now.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, it was really fun. I had a blast doing it, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen a lot of your Krump dancing videos and stuff like that on Instagram. You know, you're doing that a lot now. And I mean, I met you years ago, probably through acting, right?
Yes.
I remember we did that project ages ago, the racism sort of project a long time ago.
I remember that too. With One Vibration.
I'm trying to remember myself.
I think it was called One Vibration. Is it? I don't remember. Something.
You're remembering better than I am. But yeah. I remember from a long time ago, we did that. But and yeah, you're heavily into your acting and stuff like that, obviously. And I recently saw your Domino's commercial come out.
Yeah,
that's wicked. It's so good. And I mean, bread and butter for an actor, right? Like the TVCs pay.
Oh, for sure.
They pay out the best out of most things, unless you're obviously in the upper echelon of things.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. I think that was like I've worked on like many sets before, but I think that was like the first time I was working as like the lead character on a set where there's like, like 20 people, like the sound guy, the producer, the director, and then all of those people watching. So I was like, it was a really good experience to do that in like a professional environment.
Yeah, that's wicked. Yeah, I mean, do you know what production company they were using at the time?
Good question.
No, yeah, it's all right. There's so many of them around. I was just wondering.
Oh, wait, I think it was Taxi.
Taxi films. I did my commercial with those as well ages ago. Yeah, cool. Instant Scratcher commercial, which you can see online on YouTube.
Yes.
And Annikki's actually.
Yes. No, I need to see your commercial now.
Oh, Joe's is terrible. I could pull it up.
No, I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't say anything in it though, and I'm definitely, it's like a family commercial, like on a family holiday, Instant Scratch at Mother's Day one. Yeah, it's actually, it was quite some time ago when I was first in the industry actually, but yeah, you get paid all right from it. So it's not
commercials
too bad.
Are great.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, I mean, where did the Krump dancing and everything actually come from for you, like the inspiration to get into that? Or is it something you've always done?
Not really something I've always done. So I was kind of introduced to it way back in the day. So, well, not really introduced, but the first time I saw Krump was in high school, I'm pretty sure. And I went to high school with this girl named Valerie. She's like IG famous now, and I haven't really connected with her in a long time, but she used to Krump.
Yeah.
And I remember I would see her and she would Krump, but she was also like if you see Valerie, she's absolutely stunning. And I just thought it was really cool that she had like this cool twist where it was like, oh, I'm a Krump dancer as well. And it was like a bit of a twist. But yeah, and after high school, she asked me to join her dance crew. And back then I was a dancer. I was just doing like hip hop. And I think in high school I did like contemporary and jazz.
Yeah.
And she asked me to join her dance crew. And obviously because she was super, super involved in Krump back then, a big part of being in that dance crew was also learning how to Krump a little bit. So that was in 2013. But the crew only lasted for like 6 weeks. But that was like the first time I guess I was like introduced to Krump. And then after that, I just thought it was like kind of scary. And I was like, nah, that's not my thing. I don't want to do that. And at the same time, I was going to acting school back then. So that's when I first started my acting school, my training with acting. And then it wasn't until about 2 years later when I started going to Mad Dance House. There was a guy there who had spotted me at one of the Krump sessions. So Krump sessions is basically like where we get together and we jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those videos. They're cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously in 2013, when I was in Valerie's dance crew, she took us to like a Krump session.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, I went to Mad Dance House and a guy that taught Krump there remembered me from the session way back in 2013. And he was like, oh, you got to come take my classes. I was like, oh, okay, And then it kind of started from there. So I started taking his classes. His name was AB, and he's a really crazy Krumper. And I learnt from him. And then, I kind of never left. And it just got a bit deeper into Krump. And then I ended up falling in love with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was 2002. Did you say you first started?
No, 2000. So the first time I was introduced to Krump was 2013.
Oh, 13.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. No, I would have been like 7 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just thought about that. I'm like, when did you get that date from in your mind?
No. It was like 2013.
Yeah.
But I didn't start until like 2 years later.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So you kind of like, I think every dancer or every artist like has this moment where they're kind of first exposed to something.
Yeah.
But then they don't actually start until like a bit later. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. You get a taste for it and then you're like, I'm not sure if it's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you freak out and then you're like, why aren't I giving it a go anyway?
Yeah.
If it's something I want to do, then I should do it, right?
Yeah.
What's holding me back?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I started in 2015.
Yeah. And so for you, it's a huge creative, like inspirational outlet for expression, obviously, as all the arts are.
Yeah, for sure. I think Krump is it's like super creative. And I actually feel like acting and Krump for me, they kind of go both hand in hand because in Krump, there's like a lot of character, a lot of storytelling. We take concepts from like movies, from real life, from everything, and then we put it into our dancing. So yeah, for sure. It's like a huge creative outlet. And it's also just like when I'm feeling really crappy, I just Krump and I feel way better. It's like,
okay, that's cool.
yeah, it's like a release as well.
It gets you out of your funk.
Yeah, so it's a creative outlet, but it's also for me like a release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, okay. So, I mean, recently you've done some competitions, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you won the other day.
I came second.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
yeah. I came second with my partner. So we did like 2v2. My dance partner, we just joined together last minute. And we did a 2v2 battle and we came second. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. 2v2 mean like 2 versus 2. Yeah.
2 versus 2. So like you're, like street battle kind of.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But obviously there was like a venue and a location. It wasn't actually on the streets. But, But yeah, so it's like 2 dancers go first, and then the other 2 dancers go, and then there might be multiple rounds, and then the judges. There's like 3 judges.
So there's judges, not just a crowd thing kind of thing.
Yeah, no. Some battles have just a crowd.
Yeah. Because the crowd would influence probably the judges too, right? In some capacity.
In a way, if the judges are really good though, they shouldn't be influenced by the crowd.
They shouldn't be, but let's face it, they're human, so they probably are in some way.
Yeah, in some way. But I think in the Queensland, in the street dancing in Queensland, I think the majority of the judges that have been on the panels lately, especially over the past few years, I think they've been really good with actually judging like the dance rather than being influenced by the crowd and like the hype that comes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so is some of that video, that footage up on your Instagram?
Not from that event. No.
Yeah.
Not as yet. I don't think the footage is out as yet from that event. But there's heaps of other footage, I think.
Yeah, you've got some up there. Yeah. Actually, I might pull some up because I want to see it, and I want you to sort of, because I want to get a vibe of like I can see what I'm looking at from my interpretation of it, which it's art, obviously. And like I'm heavily into hip hop, and that kind of scene as well. And that seems like it's an extension of that kind of thing. I mean, I don't know when Krump first came about, but I'm sure it was some hybrid. I mean, I guess people were dancing all the time, right? And then it's just different abbreviations of it, and it evolves into something different, and then it becomes an art form, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell you if you like.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, tell me.
Okay. Let's see how good my history knowledge is. Well, it first started in the early 2000s in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And it first started as a way for youth to escape gang violence out there.
Yeah.
So I often tell people if they want to know about like the era of when Krump evolved, to listen to some of the music that, like the hip hop music that was happening within the 90s and the early 2000s, because they rap very much about the times that they were living in.
Yeah.
You know, like there was like police brutality and like all this war like against Black people and stuff. So it kind of came about within those turbulent times. So which kind of explains why it's such a aggressive dance style, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, so there are many aspects of Krump culture which are kind of inspired, I guess, by, and I know this might sound really bad, but it's not. It's actually a good thing, which is inspired by like gang culture in a way.
Yeah.
But the reason for that is because youth back then were turning to gangs, turning to drugs, turning to violence and stuff. But instead of doing that, they started turning to Krump, and they found like a creative outlet and release to let go in, rather than turning to all those other bad things. Yeah. So that's kind of like when it started, like early 2000s. There's like 5 main creators of Krump, but the 2 most known ones are named Tight Eyes and Miho. That's their Krump names.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in Krump, you have like Krump names, and then you also have like Krump fams, right? So, and every time I talk to like a non-Krumper who's like been heavily involved with like the hip hop scene or anything, and I tell them about like Krump fams, they're like, oh, that sounds very similar to like a gang or something.
Yeah.
But like a dance style.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like fams and yeah, we get together, we session, we battle, we release, we create, and yeah, I don't know if that helps at all.
No, it does. Yeah. No, I wasn't aware of that. I mean, I guess I know there's like crews and things like that. Like I'm assuming fams is like another.
Yeah, it's just another saying of like a crew in a way. But in a Krump fam, in most Krump fams, anyways, there's a big aspect of the fam which is like the big homie. So in Krump you have like big homies, and they're like the leader of the fam. Okay?
Yeah.
So big homie sounds very like, oh yo, like
it does really.
yeah, I know. Yeah. Especially when I told non-Krumpers, I'm like, yeah, I got a big homie. They're like,
I'm gonna go see big homie about something. I'm gonna go run my dance moves by him.
But yeah, normally they are not just your mentor in dance, but also in life as well.
Yeah.
So there's like a big aspect of being in a Krump fam where you are literally like a fam, not just a dance crew type of thing. So it's slightly different to like a dance crew because they're also bettering themselves in like real life as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can see where that sort of evolved from, you know, an outlet for people to connect and like go away from the gang violence. Because I mean, they say, you know, I'm not going to speak from, obviously I've never really been in a gang before, but
me
like
either.
the gang culture of like in that because their family life's broken, you know, and things like that. And that's like, you know, you got your big homie or your people that you vibe with, you know, and that you feel some sense of community and family around and camaraderie and all those things that we need as humans most times, unless you're a real loner or a psychopath that don't want anyone around you. But that's obviously, something that they were lacking in their real life that they found in that. And I guess I can see where like that would evolve, like, you know, like rap groups start like that, you know, a lot of the time too. Yeah, gangs, okay, that might be a bit more of a negative side of it.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have been like, oh, it's the same as
but
gang.
I understand what you're saying, about it and how it would have evolved from that as an expression. And I mean, it's the same with rapping and things like that as well. But it's in a positive term, right? It's putting all that energy and frustration into something, like you say, you feel better about it every time you do it. Yeah. And you guys get together, you know, and you're vibing with your homies. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty cool. That's really cool. Yeah. I didn't know that culture behind it, but I guess it's quite it's not a very old art form then, right? If it started in the early 2000s, then that's 20 years old or what have you.
Exactly. It's like, I think, you know, like it's super, super new. And often when I tell people about Krump, they're like, oh, that's that really old dance style. And I'm like, no, it's actually like one of the newest dance styles ever.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, like hip hop's way older than Krump.
Yeah.
So like hip hop was like starting in like the 70s and stuff. So
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So Krump's like super new.
Yeah. Do they say, oh, you do Step It Up? Is it Step Up?
Like,
Step Up? That's the movie, right? I'm thinking of Channing Tatum, early times.
There's a bit of Krump in that. There's a bit of Krump in like Stomp the Yard.
That's probably the other one I'm thinking of, right? Yeah, I think that might be the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, they all came around. But they probably came around about the same time, right? Well, they maybe they were 2000, like still early 2000s, maybe 2010. I could Google it and check it up.
I'm not too sure myself.
No, it's probably around that time. And quite often could have been someone involved in that industry too that kind of came up with it and wrote that film possibly as well. Because there is like this, from memory, there was like certain characters that did the crumping a lot more, right, in the routines and stuff. I think.
Yeah. I don't even remember the films myself, to be honest.
I'm like, and I don't even know if I want to say. I'm sure there's like a young Asian kid that sort of does the crumping in it, like it's kind of stereotyped a little bit, but I'm not sure. I could be completely wrong about that.
I know. Tight Eyes. So the guy that I was mentioning before, who was like one of the creators, he was in Stomp the Yard, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was him, I think, and Missy Prissy. So she's like one of the creators of Krump as well. And I can't remember who else was in it, but because I haven't seen the film in like years.
Yeah.
I think the last time when I watched it, I wasn't even a Krumper. So, there's those two in it. And I know Chris Brown's in it, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, that's
for
right.
sure. Yeah.
I kind of forgot that. Yeah. Doesn't he get killed at the start?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm sure Chris Brown's character gets killed off at the start. Yeah,
I need to watch. Oh, you just said killed off. That's the Krump term.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm Krump.
Let's go.
I was about to say so. I'm going to leave that.
Okay. But I don't even remember. I just know Chris Brown's in it.
Yeah, no, he dies at the start. Yeah, because he's like a draw in the film, but obviously he would probably overshadow a lot of the film being Chris Brown, and he was like in the height of his fame probably at that point or when he first came out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he gets killed. That's what like kind of ignites the battle and the beef between everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, I'm
pretty certain. If I'm wrong about that, that's terrible that I know that I've got such a vivid memory of it. But yeah, no, that's wicked. I want to pull something out because I want you to explain to me what's going on.
Okay. Let's hope I even know. Sometimes when I'm dancing, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Oh, really?
And then I actually realized once I watched the footage. So I'm like, oh yeah.
You still know what you're doing?
Huh?
You still know what you're doing after you watch the footage? Well, is it a lot of it interpretation and freestyle? Is the whole thing freestyle? Is that the whole idea of it?
Yeah, so like the footage
it's not
you see,
really like,
it's not like
a
choreographed
routine that you guys choreograph, yeah.
No, it's all like, it's completely freestyle. Sometimes we come up with like concepts or like material, which is like basically like an idea that we stem other ideas from. Like, say for example, like a concept would be like a gun or something, and then in our rounds we'll like pull out a gun or like do it in different ways. But yeah, it's just a concept, guys. I don't actually like pull out guns. Yeah.
I've seen it actually, but it's sometimes time for the music, right? Like sound effects in a song and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes,
occasionally, right?
Yeah. Sometimes if there's like a gunshot in the track.
Because I've seen that worked into your routine before, I'm sure.
Oh, really? Probably, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining like Chris Brown dying in that film again. But yeah, no, it's sorry guys, for the ones that are just listening on the audio, I'm just trying to work this and pull it up at the same time as doing the podcast. But what's one of the videos that I should pull up then for you that you think?
I don't know. Let me think. Let's have a look. Let's just type in my name.
Got this.
Okay.
I wasn't stalking your page much before.
Okay. Let's have a look.
I see you've got the icons anyway. If anyone wants to go on Annikki's Instagram, then you can find this out for yourself.
Yeah.
Give them your Instagram handle so they know.
It's at Annikki Chand. Oh yeah, that's it.
There you go. It's pretty simple. Annikki Chand.
I don't know why I was like, I don't know why I was talking as if it was like a long Instagram name.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what one are we looking at here? We're on a page, by the way, guys, just so you know. So
okay, you can go to that one there where I'm like got my palms together.
What do you look like?
Where I look like I'm sleeping.
How about this seductive shot though in the corner?
Yeah.
She's got plenty of modeling stuff on there too, guys, and acting.
Okay. Right.
So this one here?
Yes.
Now we should hear this through the headphones.
I look so aggressive compared to the way that I am now.
Is there a way to make that full screen? I'm not even sure.
I don't know. I don't do Instagram on computers.
Yeah, I always got my phone, so I have no idea myself.
So this round was like, let's watch it first and then I'll talk about it. Yay. This feels weird watching it with someone else.
I bet it does.
I've never done this. Oh, God.
I just hope it's also recording fine because this is the first time I'm pulling it all up by myself.
Okay. I look so different compared to like me sitting here now. Okay.
So was that the routine? Is that just started over again?
Freestyling. I'm just, yeah. It's just replaying, I think, yeah. So this was the finals of the competition I recently won. So it was Refinery. And basically this round was it was me versus the girl. Like I started like this because
You're awakening?
Well, because the opponent that I was battling, she was like putting her hands like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start my round like that. So I started it like that. And then
is that kind of taunting thing?
Yes, it is. It's kind of like a taunting thing. So there you go. And then I don't really know what else happened, to be honest. I think I was going like this because as soon as I did that, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do like sleep or waking up type of concept. So that became like my idea for the round. So I was like pointing to my watch. And then I did like this and I was like, it's time to wake up or something.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know what else happened, to be honest. I just went off.
You just went with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah. So that was like at a battle called Refinery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that like a competition that's usually on?
Yeah. So it was it's like an old competition which recently was brought back.
Yeah, okay.
So it was it originally was, I think, in the early 2000s in Queensland, and then it was just brought back recently.
Yeah.
So this was like one of the first. This was the first time it was brought back in like years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so was this competition, is there like a female section or is it fully open?
There was a female section, there was an open section, and then there was a fam clash section.
Yeah.
And I entered the females and I entered the fam clash and I won both. Yeah.
No way. That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. But what's really funny is that I don't actually have a fam, like my own fam.
Yeah.
I just I wanted to enter the fam clash section, but I didn't have a fam. So there was like a couple people there in the registration line. I was like, hey, should we just enter the fam clash section?
Yeah, okay.
And then we just got together like super last minute and we literally just called ourselves last minute.
Yeah.
And then we ended up winning.
No way.
It's kind of funny.
That's kind of crazy.
It's literally like a step up movie or something. I still can't believe we won. I was like,
that
what?
basically is the step up movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're painting that before we leave the podcast just so we can write that film, okay?
But yeah, it was super random. I was like wanting to win the queen, so they called it the queen section, but I was super surprised about winning the fam clash division. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just playing with stuff as we go. Yeah. Well, that's wild. So, and the whole thing you did with the fam that you just inherited and made while you were there. So the whole thing freestyle. Like, you didn't even. Do you talk about it before? Do you like, oh, I'm going to do this? Because I'm assuming there's a lot of different moves, but a lot of them can be freestyle too. But there's probably some normal moves, right? That are kind of like people learn when they're starting to learn krump dancing and things like that.
Well, we didn't really have much conversation beforehand. We were just kind of like, oh, we'll just have fun. And then we kind of were thinking that, the other fams are definitely going to be doing like choreo or like they're going to do like team moves and tag team stuff. And so we were like, well, maybe our advantage could be the fact that we're completely going to freestyle.
Yeah.
So, and I think that actually was our advantage because we were displaying more krump, I guess, or that's what we were told by the judges, was that we were displaying like real raw krump, whereas the other teams got a bit caught up with like trying to do tag team moves or choreography or whatever. But I still think like the other teams are crazy. That was super, super crazy, and I still can't believe we
like crazy
won.
good.
Yeah, like that was so good. Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's probably what I can see would appeal to judges if they are good judges, because like the whole movement of it is all organic and all in the moment, right?
Exactly.
And so if you guys were demonstrating that authenticity, that really would go for awesome stylized points, right? If you can feel that from it, like you would probably realize if everyone's unison and kind of like they've choreographed certain moves to time at the same time or things like that. But I could see why that would score quite highly. Yeah.
But I was stoked. It was a crazy event, really, really fun. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it's insane. No, I really like it. It's I'd love to see that video as well as the one woman show. I was going to say one man show then almost.
Thanks.
Cool. Seems cool. But that's fantastic. But you also teach, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how did that all come about? Like, obviously just because you love it and you want to give back in the industry, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I kind of think I had like an urge to teach because Brisbane doesn't really have like regular krump classes. I think there's some regular ones in Gold Coast, and there used to be regular krump classes in Brisbane. That's how I started.
Yeah.
But then they kind of died off, and I think we needed new teachers to kind of step up to the plate and replace the older teachers so that there could be more classes. So I mostly just wanted to do it to kind of give back and obviously like bring people into the scene, but also it's not just about making people start krump, but also just like something I'm really passionate about is like using krump as a tool to actually help people in a way, because I feel like sometimes people who are coming into classes, they don't actually want to jump into the krump scene, you know? They're just using krump as like as a tool to help themselves. Like, you know, I have so many students who come take my class and then afterwards they're like, oh, I feel so much better, you know? And sometimes people just want that experience rather than like, oh, I got to become a krumper. You know, like, they just want to take the class for like the feeling and the essence of it, rather than having to feel pressure to jump in the scene. So I teach mostly for like that reason, to just use Krump as a tool to help people.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm sure like for people, it's just a confidence thing too, and being around like once again that community, like maybe they could be, not have a lot of friends or whatever, and they want to give it a crack and get into that, maybe not the fam thing, but creating fam, right? Like and friends and people that you can hang out with and converse with. Yeah, that's a good way to bring people together, so to speak. So and is it mainly younger people, or is it just open that you teach?
Oh, it's open. So I have people from all different ages come in. As like from 17 up, pretty much. Yeah, it's surprising. Like some people are like the most unexpected people to come to a Krump class, and they often are the ones who end up really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, cool. And whereabouts is that if people wanted to get involved?
So that's at a studio called 3L Dance Center, and that's on the south side. It's like in Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, cool. There you go, guys. If you want to get into the
Come
game.
Krump with me.
Yeah.
Yes. Take my class.
That's so cool. So how about for your acting side of things and stuff now? I remember a while ago you had all these auditions in a row when we were going to do the podcast the other day. So what's been happening in that front for you?
Well, I took a long break, obviously, because I got into Krump. And I think something I kind of realized is that when I first started acting, I think I was quite young and I didn't really know what I wanted. I was kind of letting the industry sway me a bit. And I think that can kind of happen. In a sense, what I mean by that is like, all these people are telling you what you should be doing with your career.
Yeah.
And I think at a young age, that was like hard for me to deal with. So I ended up just completely stopping for like 3 years. Then I got back into it and I went back to my old acting school to finish off my bachelor's degree in acting.
Yeah.
I just finished that. When did I finish that? Last year, like the end of last year. And since then I've just been getting back into acting, just trying to do more auditions, and like we were supposed to do a podcast a couple of weeks ago and I had like 4 auditions in a row. So I was like,
Yeah, I was like, I know what that's like. Concentrate on that. It's more important.
Yeah, it was super stressful, but it was also so much fun. I loved it. Something that I really like that crossover, that's a bit of a crossover between Krump and acting is that in Krump we have like characters that we can play within our dance.
Yeah.
Or we have like moves which are inspired by a character. So to make it all in sync, I kind of try to think of like what my dream roles are as an actor. And I put that into Krump.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's like I'm like manifesting at the same time.
Yeah, that's wicked. That's a great way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, so that is kind of like all in sync.
Yeah.
But yeah, as for acting, it's been amazing to like get back into the scene and to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
And so that was, is it the Actors Conservatory? Is that where you were training, I believe? Because you and MJ used to go there the same time as you, right? That's where you met, or?
Yeah. He was in the term ahead of me, I believe, and we met at like a stage exam, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
But it's called the Australian Performing Arts Conservatory now.
Change its name. Yeah.
Changed the name like 3 times, but yeah.
So very proper.
Yes, it's proper now. Yeah.
So
cool.
So you stepped away from it when you were doing your degree. Is that what? Kind of a degree?
I probably explained that really weirdly. I stepped away I went to do an advanced diploma at the Actors Con in 2013, and then I finished that in 2015. Around that same time, I sort of started Krump, but I wasn't really that serious about it. And then I was doing acting like in the industry and stuff for like the next 2 years. And then I think it was like I did a pageant, and this was I went for like, how I was saying before, my one-woman show was like inspired by pageant stuff. Anyways, now it's probably all making sense. But yeah, I did a pageant, and I think this was kind of like my not breaking point, but just like that moment in the industry where I was kind of like, oh no, I'm done,
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, I think I just need a break. So I just stopped acting for a bit. And I know beauty pageants aren't a part of acting, sort of like in the industry a little bit. But then I just stopped from, I think it was 2017 to like the end or the start of 2020. And then COVID kind of re-inspired me to want to get it back into acting.
Yeah.
And there was like an opportunity to turn my advanced diploma, which is what I originally did at Actors Con, and turn it into a degree. So I went back and did that in 2020. So yeah, a bit confusing. But yeah, basically, I don't know if that makes sense, but I was doing it till 2017. Then I took like 3 years off. Then I came back, did my degree. Now I'm back. Yes,
Ready to
back.
go.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was it about the actual pageant that made you not want to? You didn't think I was going to ask that, did you?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Well, I won't just specifically point out like the pageant, but I think like I was saying before with the industry, like back then in 2017, I was only like 21 or something.
Yeah.
And I think I was being told by all these agents and casting directors and teachers and stuff like what I should do, what type of roles I should play, like how to do this, how to do that. And because I think I needed like I just needed to go away and figure myself out. Yeah. And then kind of come back.
Yeah, especially when you're so young in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Like when did you start acting then? How
I was like, I just like straight out of high school, I went to Actors Con. So I was like 17 or something.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I think I just needed to go away, figure myself out, and then come back.
Of course.
Because
people are trying to tell you who you are, and you're like, I don't even know yet.
Exactly.
So how do you know? Like,
yeah, exactly. And it was just like,
it's a funny thing like that. Hey, and it's a very impressionable. Like you're very impressionable when you start in the industry, especially when you're that young.
Yeah.
Anyway, and you're like a sponge trying to suck up information to try and figure things out, and like. There is no blueprint to this, but there is a blueprint a little bit, like because you can take information from other people that can help you so you don't make the same mistakes that maybe they did or people that they know did, and it can help you get up the totem pole, so to speak. But yeah, it's rough, hey. It's a rough industry to be involved in, and it's you put so much time and energy and emotion into things, and yeah, it can destroy you if you're not careful. You don't look after yourself. You don't ground yourself often and things like that. I mean, I could definitely say firsthand from experience that, yeah, there's been things like that have happened to me as well. And I had to step away from it and only recently really, I still did stuff, still kept busy because I felt like I had to. But yeah, those like couple of years or whatever you want to call it, where it was like, I did have to figure that out because I lost a lot of confidence within myself and what I was doing when I was just going on raw emotion and energy. Like I've got this, like I'm going to make it, and then, when you figure out you don't and you're like, oh shit, like this is, I've put so much into this. Like now I don't even know who I am or what I'm doing with this. It's, you got to recalibrate the senses, right? And think about how you're going about it and how to best step forward if you want to keep going in this regard and like in the industry and things like that. But it's an important step and part, I think, of the evolution of yourself, right? And that makeup as a performer as well and as a person. Because I know a lot of people, like when I started out, like there's heaps of people not doing it anymore, right? And you can kind of, like before I didn't get it, until like that kind of happened to me. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Oh, for sure.
And anyone that even gives it a go and gets in front of camera or on the stage or whatever has got balls, because it's tough. It's like really, it's really hard to put yourself out there like that. And you do so unwillingly and like just, I don't know, like it's just a thing, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know until you do it what it's really like. But that's what's exciting about it too.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It's definitely not full of faint-hearted, and I feel like you need to have like a clear goals with what you actually want with like your career, and that aren't like dictated by other people. Yeah. Because like especially like if you're like younger. Because I was easily like swayed because I was just like, oh, they know what they're doing, I should take their advice and whatever. But I actually think that having a break is so beneficial to like find yourself because at the end of the day, acting is portraying human emotions. So, the better that you know yourself as a person, the better that you're going to be able to deliver different parts of yourself into different characters, So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And without life experiences, how can you expect to play these characters that are going through an emotional roller coaster, what have you, and all these things to really draw upon those life experiences you have yourself? And that's why it's so crazy when you're young and doing it. And it's like, you don't even know these things you're speaking about, Exactly. So it's like, how can you even authentically even grasp the concept of the words you're saying?
Oh, facts. Like I recently watched some stuff I did from like 5 years ago and I was like, oh girl, you didn't even know what you're talking about. You're just saying a bunch of words, but
playing the part, right?
Yeah, just playing the part. But like didn't even know what I was doing, like what I was really saying. You know? Yeah.
And that just comes to understanding and time and growth in yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Like those breaks are so vital in the evolution of you and what you're going to achieve and what you want to. Yeah. It's a thing. So that's cool. That's exciting that you've kind of gone through that and then you're coming back into it, you know? Because really like now it's like, you know, it's kind of like you feel like it's your time, you know, okay, I needed to learn all that because if I had have had that same rationale and that thought process in my mind when I was trying to do it, like, and I got a really big opportunity to do something, I wouldn't have been able to handle it, you know, in the moment.
100%.
Like it would have just got the better of me probably at some point, and then you would have let a bunch of people down or yourself or what have you. Like it's it's something to go through. Hey.
And after I've had the break and now that like I noticed myself in like auditions and stuff being so much more comfortable. Like I feel like before the break, before I had my like little break with acting, I used to be like a mess with an audition. I was an absolute mess. And I was like thinking about that when I did that Domino's TV commercial. I was like, oh yeah, I remember like if I did this audition like 5 years ago, I would have been a mess. I wouldn't have gotten the gig. But because I like took a break and found myself and figured myself out, I think it really helped me grow as an artist, not just an actor, but an artist and as a person as well. Yeah,
it's that's the thing about the industry too, is like you kind of putting your life on the lens, like and
so true. Hey, it's so vulnerable. Like you're showing people sides of yourself, like that you never normally would. You know,
might not even know those sides of yourself.
Exactly.
And then people are watching it for entertainment, you hope. If it gets out there enough. It's really weird. And I think that's why like child actors are so fucked up sometimes, like because it's so hard to navigate that realm, you know, like when you're so young and you have all these people
100%.
Jazzing you up and saying you're amazing, and you probably are for a kid like in the industry. Like it's no wonder that it just can completely mess them up later on. And I guess they're so used to the attention and these things, and when it doesn't come, you're like, what have I done wrong? And like I got to act out, and then that's when they start acting out in real life. And it's just I guess we're all like that to a certain extent, right? Sometimes, and social media only heightens that whole thing.
Of course.
How do you go with all? I mean, the social media is a beast. Hey,
the rise of social media, I kind of feel like has obviously like it's affected like the mental health of a lot of like artists and stuff, because I think it's definitely increased the mindset of like, oh, I got to show everyone what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I got to look like I'm really like active and I'm doing all this stuff in the industry, and I think that thought process is actually unnatural for us as humans. Like that's not what we're supposed to be really doing. You know, we don't just constantly publicize everything, you know? So I don't feel like it's been very good for like our mental health. And I think that like it's super important to also take breaks off social media, you know?
Totally.
Super important. I'm horrible with at times I have like phases where I'm like too much on social media and I'm like, no, I need to stop it. I need to be like present in the moment. And that's another thing, is that I feel like social media takes away from you being present, you know? And like that's we got to be present in the moment to be a good human, I guess, a good artist.
No, that's it. Like I mean, I guess you can learn things from social media. It's like anything. It's a tool, you know, and it's how you use it. But when 100%. It starts to become a way of life, then it's like, that's when it gets so swirly of a situation where you're putting, like where your mental health is at stake, because you're putting so much energy into this thing that you're doing in this little device, and how people are reciprocating what you're doing, giving something back from it. I mean, the good and the bad comes with that. And it's just.
There's definitely good sides to social media. I have to say that. Like, I do use it, and I post everything. Like I post things about my life and about what I'm up to and everything. But I also just try to sometimes think of the reasoning as to why I'm posting some things. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this post, and then sometimes I don't actually post it because I'm like, nah, I don't think that my mindset and my reasoning behind that post is like healthy. So I'm not going to post it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, because
I'm use that. No, I think I do subconsciously anyway, right? But I totally understand that. It's like.
Because sometimes I think in the past, especially when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm going to post this because I want this person to see it.
I think everybody has that. Everybody does it. To some certain extent, there's always someone you're trying to trying to get at or work a response out of, or whether it's an X or whatever it is, like, right? It's so weird like that, isn't it?
I always try to think of that though. I'm like, am I posting this out of like
why am I doing it? What is my reasoning behind it? Yeah, that's totally it. And it's like, okay, cool. I just want to show people what I'm up to at the moment. It's fun. I like this. But then you also attach something to that as well. And like, you love what you're doing and you want to show that to someone. But then if you're like, I can't imagine what it's like if you get like a total like barrage of negative comments or reactions to it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, now I hate the thing that I just loved that I wanted to share with people. And so it's so hard to have that disconnect between the screen, like, and what it's coming back at you like, and how that affects your psyche and what you're,
especially as artists, right? Because that's like part of our job is like to entertain people. So
I know,
it's like,
and to put it out there. Like, you don't, I mean, you don't always just do it for that. You do it for you and your expression and what you want to, I don't know, what you feel is the reasoning behind you doing the thing that you're doing, right? But yeah, you do want people to see it because that's mostly the whole reason why you do it. I don't know, like everybody does it differently. Like it's like, I know people that are really good singers, right? And like, I can't really sing. And if I could, best believe there's going to be a lot of that out there. But I'm like, when they're real quiet and you don't even know and you hear something that they do, they sing or they play the guitar or whatever, and you're like, you're really good, man. I'd be putting this out all the time. Like, but they don't and they like never share it, but it's for them. It's interesting. Like, and it could be a form of therapy or whatever it is, their way of getting whatever that inner thing is out. But they don't do it for clout. They don't do it for any reason to give to anyone else. It's so foreign to me. Like, but that's because probably we're in the industry and we're in the industry of actors where we want to play these characters and we want to like express ourselves within it and show sides that we maybe don't show normally. But we want people to see it and be entertained by it and inspired by it and all those things like that. It's it's a weird industry and a weird mindset of things. Yeah.
With dancing, I don't feel like to begin with, I never used to post on social media. It wasn't until like, I think like the end of 2018. I mean, that's quite a while ago now, but like, but I was on social media.
Feels like a while ago, hey.
Yeah, I know, right? But I was on Instagram for a bit. But I never really posted any like dance videos until then. And then when I started posting my dance videos, my reasoning behind posting them was not because I wanted to show everyone my dance moves. I was trying to post it because I actually thought that like my dancing was crap. And I was like, I just want to get used to people watching me dance.
Yeah.
So that was like my reasoning behind posting. And like for like even sometimes still I watch some of my dance videos and I'm like, oh, I should just post it so that I'm like, I get used to having this sense of like, oh, I'm just showing people myself like sort of failing, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I post it and then that post gets like 10K views or something. And I'm like, huh? I thought that was like a crap video.
Yeah.
So a part of like the reason as to why like I started posting dance videos was just because I just wanted to get used to people watching me dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it ended, sometimes I still have that mindset and sometimes there are videos that end up doing really good. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, that's good. It gets a good amount of views on things. I mean, like, unless you've got 100,000 subscribers, like,
yeah, 10K is not that many views, but like for me, because I'm like, I'm not posting for views. But it is a lot though when you're like, and if you're not expecting it or, you're not have a huge following or stuff, like, that's pretty cool to get 10,000 people watching your thing. I think I've got one video that touches that and that's it. And it was like an outtake in a film that we were doing and we just mucked around in the behind the scenes thing. Yeah. And it's like kind of sexual, kind of not, whatever. I swear I got shadow banned after I Instagram, good old Instagram.
Yeah, because like my views and stuff have never been the same ever since.
Really?
And my like, it just dropped like massively in the algorithm.
That's another thing.
Could be a conspiracy theory. I don't know, but I feel like it, and I bring it up a lot. But yeah, I look back on that video and it's like, God, every time I look, every whatever it is, it's got like another 3,000 or 4,000 views or something. It kept climbing. Like I don't even know. I think the other day it was like 10 or 15,000. I can't even remember. But it was like, I remember when it was 3,000, it was like my most viewed video or something. Yeah. But I swear it's because I put like the hashtags like something like sexual, sexual stuff, like because it was just me fake going down on my girlfriend, saying like I love you, and then go down and then go like got down to her panties, I'm like, granny panties? Like, and then just like say something like that, and we just crack up laughing. And it was just a thing in the
that's
moment
funny.
that I put up. But yeah, I did it on Christmas or something. And I think because I use, you know how it's like, you use certain hashtags sometimes or whatever if you want to go into that realm of things. And I'm terrible. I don't know how to, I don't know how to navigate like social media that well. And it's hard when you're trying to like promote stuff because I'm in and out of it too. I get bored within seconds that I'm like, I don't have the problem of being addicted to social media because I legit, I'm lucky if I last more than a couple of minutes scrolling.
That's good.
And then I'm just
so
like,
obviously the people you follow aren't very interesting.
I don't know. Well, it's the same. I follow you. I swear I see your video because it's like, because I only see and I like the same people stuff and I'm only honest. So that's when all I'll see in the feed every time. So it's like, it's not me fanboying at your Krump videos. It's just like, I'll see your stuff because I like it, you know, and I'm like, oh, this is wicked. I'll watch it. But then I get bored of social media. It's not that I'm bored of the videos or the content. I just don't feel right about it. Like it just, I've gone more and more away from it. Hey, and I kind of...
That's so good.
Yeah, went to a point of like, you know, like it was Facebook and, you know, like YouTube and stuff and like Instagram and all that sort of... And about Snapchat is when I clocked out. I have it. I don't use it at all. And that's about when I've never ever been on TikTok. I've watched a couple of TikToks that come on my Instagram feed, I think.
I tried TikTok. I didn't last very long with it, to be honest.
But I would have thought someone like you with the Krump videos and stuff would probably do really well on that. I would imagine that would go well.
No,
it's just another one, isn't it? It's just another platform to keep updating and doing stuff on.
Just
so much time and energy.
Yeah, I know, like I follow some dancers who like post dance videos every single day and they've like blown up over the past 2 years because they keep posting. But like, that's just for me, it's just exhausting. Like, I'm like, I don't want to,
I feel you.
I don't want to be posting like 3 times a day for views, you know, it's just mentally, it's draining, you know, for me. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
It is definitely
but
like
good
that.
Props to them, you know, they're doing their thing.
That's exactly it. Good on them for doing. I mean, and it's kind of that's the conundrum that we find ourselves in too as performers as well. Is that fortunately people are getting cast a lot because of their following, and we've been talking about that a lot on set actually with some of the boys down at the studio, and it's just like it's
annoying,
and it's a thing that I even heard from some people down there that are relatively in the know that it is possible that people aren't even looking at your acting show reels; they're looking at your social media before they even look at that, and it's like that is so disheartening as an artist, right?
I know, that's so annoying. I'm like, especially because I do acting and I do a lot of acting, but I post a lot of Krump, so it's like they're gonna like go onto my social media. They're not gonna see much. I mean, I post acting, but I don't post it as much as dancing. But so it's like kind of annoying that that's like such a big deal.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to feel about it. It's just like, oh man, you put so much of everything into this stuff, and then it's like, oh, it's not even going to matter because I don't have a huge following. And I understand that the following counts, right? It's why a movie will sell when they have, say, The Rock in it, or Kevin Hart, or Wahlberg, or whoever the hell it is. Like,
I also feel maybe like that's mostly like that type of casting where they look for like how many followers you've got on your Instagram. I kind of feel like that would be for films that are kind of like sort of like a D-list kind of film. Like I don't think Marvel will be like, oh, let's look at their social media. I don't know.
No, although sometimes I think when they're bringing on the younger kid characters, it could be a bit of a thing though as well. Yeah. But no, probably not in most cases. And also that formula is obviously the formula that's been around in Hollywood for forever, is because it is right though. If you see that name, you're like, oh, I can't wait to watch this film because they've earned that right, you know, as to be box office hit stars, you know, and that is fair. That's the industry. That's not really social media side of things. But those people also have a big social media following, you know, which obviously helps. It's like, I just watched that new Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg movie that just came out.
I know
on
which
Netflix.
one you're talking about. I haven't watched it yet though, but
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay. I thought you were going to give me a good review or something.
We started watching him and my mate last night after we got home from having a few drinks, and we're like, shit. You know, and Kevin Hart's good, but Wahlberg is like, I don't know, it just misses the mark.
Okay.
I feel, which is hard to say because I like them both. And usually I wouldn't judge it so quickly either. I'm easy to please when it comes to, like, I'm really always have good reviews. Like, wouldn't review anything negatively often, but it kind of got better in like the last act of the film. The first act was just messy and it just didn't really grab me in the way that it should.
I have to watch this film now.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Like, it's all right. And maybe it was where after a few drinks, it was
do you think it was like the way that it was directed or just like the way that it was acted or what do you think?
I feel like it was... it's kind of like the way it was structured. Yeah, I think the characters in the script or the way that it was it was a weird like first opening scene to the film too that didn't really... It felt like it was there to be there, but it didn't need to be there in that way. And then it just kind of switched to what it was. I just feel like the structure was a bit weird. And I don't know, like Wahlberg, he kind of, it wasn't phoning it in, but it was kind of, I don't know, it's hard because they always play the same characters too, and it's like Kevin Hart, it's really typecast and they're always playing the same characters, generally speaking, although there's been some other ones like Kevin Hart's series that he did, playing that comedian where all the stuff like Wesley Snipes' character like blackmailed him behind the scenes and stuff like that. I forget what it was, a Netflix show. That was fantastic. And it was a more darker character of like darker tones to it that you're not used to seeing Kevin Hart do. Yeah. But it was based on like true life events too for him, like with some stuff that went down a while ago with his boy trying to set him up and stuff like this. But that was really good.
Is that on Netflix?
Okay. I wish people would take more chance sometimes like that, but I also understand it because it's like that thing is that he's a box office, he's a box office actor. They both are. They always get in things. It's like when Wahlberg got thrown into Transformers, and I wish they could have kept Shia LaBeouf in there because that was fantastic. But I mean, it was still good, the Wahlberg ones, but it was like, let's throw a star in here. Wahlberg's a sellable action star, cool. It still works. Yeah.
But they're just doing
I can't
it for
knock
the views.
him. I would love to have one of those, like this kind of esteem. I'm just trying to I guess I'm a purist at heart sometimes with that stuff, although I love box office films and I love sci-fi and stuff like that, which a lot of people probably don't, but it's just, I don't know. I hate it when they lose the mystery of it all and to take chances, but I get it too because they want to make the money, they're in it to do all these things and including probably being successful and rich. It just comes hand in hand with it, and supporting yourself and then being able to create the other productions that you want to or what have you. But it's like, I guess the similar films with Wahlberg's, like The Other Guys was awesome with Will Ferrell. That's a great film with him and a great like duo kind of thing that I think they were trying to do little bits of that, but he's a bit more of a party guy in this that doesn't have his shit together. Look, it's all right. I could be being negative. I don't know. But I wish it were. I was
a very opinionated man on movies. I love it.
I watch a lot of things.
That's awesome.
I dissect a lot of it too. I just think it's part of
being an actor.
It's part of it.
That. I can never watch a movie just normally. It's like I'm always like thinking. I'm like,
sometimes you got to disconnect yourself because after you know how the sauce is made, it's really. You got to be able to turn those things off. It's like if you're watching yourself, which I know a lot of actors can't do and won't do, a lot of people. But sometimes you need to get better, but I guess sometimes you don't to get better too. I know a lot of people that don't like doing it. I don't mind. I know it was weird for me at the start and then I got used to it and I was able to switch that side of my brain off and watch myself objectively and critique myself and then to try and get better, But I think sometimes you're not in the right mind frame to watch yourself either. And it's like
watching yourself. Do you watch yourself often? Watch your acting?
I watched my showreel the other day. Yeah, actually, like a couple of days ago when I was just sitting on set doing nothing.
Let's watch my showreel.
Yeah, no, because it's just like, because I'm in my resurgence now after like that break that I said to you. And I've been in that for a little while, but I'm really feeling it now. Like I feel powerful. I feel good about my energy and stuff.
That's good.
And like I'm back to like absolutely knowing that I'm gonna make it in some way, whatever way, twists and turns of the path that carries me, whether it is with acting or other things. Like I really feeling 100%
you believe in yourself.
Magical about it. I feel good.
That's awesome.
Like and I haven't had that for a long time since I was first in the industry, and then it got like kind of pulled out from under me, with a lot of things that went down.
Back,
got the shine back, and I was worried that it was never going to come back, but I stayed, positive about it. But there were times there where I just didn't even I was like, I think it's gone. And yeah, that's tough.
What did you do to help you get back that spark? What do you think it was? Was it just the break or was there anything else?
Like when certain like stuff happened, I like took myself away from the situation and stuff like that. Like I let it all out. I like cried. I like just let all the emotions out, and I immediately felt way better for it. And I was like, I had that realization of like, this fucking sucks now to let these people down and myself down and all this stuff. But I was like, I'm glad, like I said before, that it happened now and it didn't happen later. Like I feel like this had to happen. Like it just was part of the evolution of me, you know, and saw it positively, although there was a lot of time and moments and a lot of vices within there in life that I like damped it down, you know, like and used in good or bad regard, you know, to get through certain times. And then it was just a journey, hey, like, and I had to stop and I had to realize and I had to go, okay, is this what you still want to do anymore? You know, because you put everything into this and now you're left like standing there with nothing, it feels like. And it was just a long process of going within, you know, and figuring out like, is this really what you want to be doing? Once I was like, okay, I need to just put myself back out there and see how I go with all these. I tried different outlets and, you know, like and one thing I think that I did once I tried again, like I used to be really petrified of public speaking and things like that. Did not want to do speeches as a kid or anything like that. And I've spoken about it before. Sorry, guys, on the pod. But hey, Annikki doesn't know. So
no, I listened to that one. I think but tell me about the story of your public speaking thing, because I didn't watch the full. I remember you did like a solo episode and you talked about how you did public speaking, but you didn't actually go into the story of what.
Yeah, okay, probably because I've said it before and the podcast. But yeah, or the fifth or sixth. No, like I used to be really petrified of that, and I guess I wasn't out of my shell yet too. Like even at like college, which people will be like, "What college was that?" And like this time, I can't even remember what age it would have been, but you know, early teens or whatever, you know, early to mid teens. And like I'd be in crowds and stuff, but I'd never really be the one. I'd strategically interject. I wouldn't just be blurting shit out. You know how you always got friends with those people, you know, that are just like this all the time. Yeah, I'd sit back and just calculate, you know, and I would just take it all in and just until it was my moment, you know. Or I think,
I'm like that a bit. Yeah, I was like that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. And then like, you know, you eventually come out of your shell and you come into your own with it and you start to get confidence within yourself and all that. And but yeah, I hated that kind of stuff. And I was good with my friends, but then I'd go in and out. I get really, you know, you get embarrassed when you speak up sometimes. Like, and like, I don't know, I get embarrassed easy, like when I'm showing off, you know, or whatever, you know, I'm like feeling myself and I'm doing something and it's entertaining people, you know, because I can realize now where I was deep down, I was probably always like had the performer thing. I just didn't have the confidence or the want to put it out there with people because I was scared of like, losing whatever I had, you know, that shine, I guess you could say, but I seem to be compelling when I'm in the moment and I do it, you know, because people are interested in my stories. And early on, I was a good storyteller, but I used to stretch the truth, like not lie, but I would stretch it out to make, because I could see people's faces and reacting and going and like enjoy my story. So I would get more detailed, you know, like storytelling for me in all aspects, like whether it be film or stand-up comedy or writing or anything like that. Like I love or music, you know, it's all a story to me. It's an expression, you know. And yeah, like I started doing that more and more, and like I could see the joy on people's faces that it could bring. So I just kind of leaned into it a bit more, but it really wasn't until I moved over from New Zealand to here that I really probably came into my own with that too, after like a breakup and all that kind of thing. And just going, you always wanted to do it, just go, just get the job and just go. Like I was waiting for like friends that would say they wanted to come and do this and that. It just never happened. So I was just one day, I was just like, do it. Let's go. And I did and come into my own and started working out and stuff like that and just really felt good, got that confidence in myself and found an agent and just kind of fell into the industry, which was Lee back in the day that we did the racism project with way back then. And it just kind of stemmed from there. And sorry, this is a big circle back of that. But and then so, you know, like things fell apart and I lost my confidence and stuff. But one of the things that I did do was I went on a real realm of when I got in the industry of like feeling, you know how it's really weird when you go on camera and you feel really uncomfortable and you're like nervous and shit and you're shaking, you don't even know you're doing all these things and you watch back, you're like, I don't even know I swayed like that. I don't know that I'm like holding my hand and doing weird things. Like
acting and like the camera brings out so much of your mannerisms you don't even realize you have.
You can't get away from it. The camera sees all.
Everything, yes. Yeah.
And realizing all that and Yeah, I went on a path of like facing fears, so to speak. So like, I was shit scared of all that. And then so I started doing it and I was like, okay, cool. This isn't as bad as what I thought. I mean, it's nerve wracking and I'm not good, but at least I'm doing it, and I'm getting something from it and feeling great about it. And then like I was scared of heights and Lee and I went skydiving, jumped out of a plane, did that,
awesome.
Faced that kind of fear of it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Wasn't that bad. What else can we do, And through that resurgence period, something that I was clearly shit scared of, but I got into when my mate introduced me into podcasts. I started listening to a lot of Joe Rogan and other comedians and stuff like that. And then I got inspired to do stand-up comedy. And so that is the next level thing, to be standing in front of people trying to be funny and then saying you should do it. It was liberating to say the least.
Okay.
Nerve-wracking as hell.
Yep.
But it was one of those things where I was trying to jolt myself, from that funk that I was in and trying to find my shine and stuff again. And I got the balls up to do it. It was a bit of a process to get on the list to do it and get in and get a spot. You got to ring up and everyone's trying to ring up and the phones are dead all the time and you get in and then you get your spot.
Did you do any training at all in comedy before that? Oh, you just jumped in. I love it.
I don't think there ever is training that. I mean, there is training and course you can do and stuff, but you just got to balls up and do it, eh?
True.
Like, and I liked storytelling and I love storytelling comics. So I had a few things thought out and in the scenario where I went up, so you get like 5 minutes to do first, like to do your thing, like on stage, then you get the light and you kind of got to wrap it up. And so I did mine as a long-winded story of like this encounter I actually had with said actress at like a training thing that I ended up seeing. And then I did like this whole sexual scenario story and I'm like playing off in the voices in your head in the scenario. Yeah, well, I don't know. It was something that I thought was funny when I told the story to people. They're like, and I just like, and they laughed and I'm like, I'm going to do that one because and I think I did it once like I wrote it out and I thought about it and I think I did it once on a mic that I had and I played it back. I'm like, yep, there's no going back. I just got to do this. And I went up. My mate was actually, I think I had two of my mates and his girlfriend watching, which I will say, don't do that. Just go without anyone there.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, if I ever do stand-up comedy, I'm not going to invite anyone.
One person to come.
No, I don't want anyone there. I just want a crowd full of strangers so that they don't know who I am.
That's the best part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went there, right? And they ended up, they put me up first.
Oh, great.
And I was like, what the out of every, like all the things to do, I'm like, okay, here goes nothing. Like, and I went, actually, did I go first? I think I did go first. I can't even remember now. I'm pretty sure they put me up first anyway. And I was just like, okay, sweet, here we go. And I went up there and I did it. And I like had my story that I knew would go 5 minutes that I had to condense down. But because I said it, I was a little nervous. I said it quite fast, with your delivery. Like it's really hard to get that down. But I got a few, I wouldn't say loud. Like the person who was laughing the most was the MC, who's like a seasoned comic that is running the show and gets laughs in between and gets the crowd back up from the terrible open micers that are coming in and doing the things. And I had him like 3 times, I remember distinctly that he laughed out loud at like what I was saying. Like a few people were like laughing, but it was more like that. I heard shock and awe out of what they were saying because I was being so raw talking about this like encounter and very descriptively raw, I would say. Like I have a video of it of me going and doing it. Yeah, it's actually, I definitely didn't put up the whole video. I put up like a little bit of it like online, but I was just like, geez, what am I doing? But yeah, anyway, I did it. And I like come off and I'm like, fuck, I actually did that, like, and it was just the confidence of facing those fears, I think really turned like part of the notch around for me. And I was just like, okay, I can go with this. And it was a long journey still from even then to now of all that again. But the moral of the story is you just got to put yourself back out there again, right? And do what you want to do, whatever way you do it. And I just had to ground myself and think why I wanted to do what I was doing and is it still genuine? Like the reasons why I want to do it, connecting with people on all levels. That's why I love doing the podcast because it's like me and you one-on-one connecting and conversing and talking about the things that we love to do. And I think that's fun for people to listen back to, and it's just another aspect of that. Like I want people to see the things I do because I've been so inspired by film and film that I've watched and I've learned things about life when I was younger that I didn't really know that I learned through film, whether it be fiction or not, or non-fiction, but you just get a worldly view and opinion on things and it like helps you evolve. And I got a lot from that. And then I was inspired by a lot of film stuff. So I just kind of want to give back in that regard, and connect with people on a large basis,
That's awesome.
So that's why I do it and why I do all this stuff. But yeah, that was probably a good 10-minute rant of whatever. I don't even know what you asked anymore. But yeah, this is what happens when you let me talk. But
That's
yeah,
so good.
yeah. So
Get
that
to know
was
heaps.
that
Love
was
it.
kind of it, and just how I found myself with it again and found confidence in it and want to let it out and shine again, and with undoubted confidence. So that's where I'm at now. So yeah, watch out. Is really what I got to say. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been good.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's a journey and we all do it. I mean, how was it for you? Like, obviously, you step back away from it, you said, and then you come back into it again.
Yeah, I think I had to really look back and think of one of the reasons as to why I started acting. So obviously, there was like the whole egotistical side of me, which is like, I want to be famous, like because I was really young.
Yeah.
But like, the main thing, like I remember growing up when I would watch movies, is that I would feel like you were saying before, is like you feel inspired by film, and you watch characters tell a story, And acting, I feel like you're telling other people's stories and bringing them to life, and I think that that's actually like a really powerful tool. I think we need that type of art form. And I remember growing up, I would always watch films and I would be like, oh wow, like I just want to have that impact on other people. Like I'd watch a film and maybe it would make me crack up laughing, or it would make me cry, or make me feel scared or something. And I remember thinking that, it would be so cool to have that impact on people.
Yeah.
So I think I had to look back and think of the reason as to why I first started. And it was like very much to do with like using myself as like a vessel to tell other people's stories. Because maybe they can't tell the stories themselves, but I can help them by being an actor and using my art form.
Yeah.
So, and also using it myself to tell my story, but through acting as well. Like making that show that I did. I feel like I got to express so many different sides of myself that I normally wouldn't in like a day-to-day life. So, I think, one of the things that brought me back was just remembering the points as to why I first started. Like the points that were like deep in my heart, not just the ones that were like my ego. Because my ego was like, oh, you wanna be successful, be famous, blah, 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 blah. But that wasn't like the reason deep down, I think. Yeah.
That you wanted to do it,
Yeah.
Did you think that was like characters that you gravitated towards at the start too?
What do you mean? Like as in like egotists, like the ones that were like,
or you wanted to be famous and you wanted to be this, or I don't know, like you wanted to be sexy or you wanted to be cool, or like was it always like what you thought you wanted to do?
And I think what didn't help was the fact that like when I was getting into the industry, like obviously I was saying before that there were all these like people telling me what I should and shouldn't do. And I think that they were kind of feeding my ego. They were feeding what my ego wanted. So my ego was like, oh, famous, blah, 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 rich, successful actress. And then they were like, oh yeah, you should play roles which are like really sexy, or like play roles that are like, that were just feeding my egotistical desires.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you do that and then you're not successful with that approach, it can be really like you were saying before, it can be quite painful.
Yeah.
Like you don't actually get what you want and stuff. So, but yeah, to begin with, I think I was very much doing like what other people were telling me to do and what my ego thought I wanted to do. But then I ended up realizing that that's not a sustainable reason to be acting.
Yeah.
That's not going to keep you around for the long run. Yeah.
Yeah. So you feel good now about what you're doing?
I feel great. I think, I know like now, like I was saying before, like I want to tell stories. Like I want to tell powerful stories. I want to tell, I want to use myself as like a creative vessel to tell other people's stories, basically,
Yeah.
And I want to play strong characters. And I think that Krump as well, going back to that dance style, it's unlocked like another energy within me. And I think that now, like coming back into acting, I'm realizing that I can play much more stronger characters.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks to unlocking like this different energy that I found within Krump.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to start exploring that.
Yeah.
That side of myself.
That's the fun part about the whole acting thing. Hey, it's like playing those different characters, because I know you can get typecast, right?
I was so typecasted when I first started. That's why, and the typecast were feeding
that's
my
what annoyed
ego.
you,
and at the same time, it was like annoying because I wanted to explore different sides of myself. But, stepping away and then focusing on like this dance style helps me find different sides of myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good to be back into it and now explore. And I also feel like I've just become so much more confident. after having a break because I've found myself a bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah, like now when I look at those roles that I want to play and those stronger characters, I'm like, yeah, I can definitely do that. But whereas before I took a break and stuff, I was kind of like too scared to try that.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. It's like also like it's not really what the characters that I'm interested in playing, but some like heavy emotional stuff, like and like I didn't know. Like I know I am emotional. I know I can get there because I am like that. I'm like really
scary,
sensitive
right?
and
to do
stuff.
That on camera,
but
it's pretty scary. Yeah.
To do that on camera and like crying on cue and all that sort of stuff. Like I haven't really gone down that avenue, so to speak. Although I have had to do it in like feature film and stuff like that I was in. But I didn't really tear up cry, but I was like emotional connection cry of someone dying like in the scene, or both dying actually at the same time. It was very Shakespearean.
Oh damn! You died as well.
Yeah. We both died on screen.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like this whole like Shakespearean sort of love story working out within this Italian mafia film that we did. I made J.R. Hill. Guys know from the podcast before that's been on. But yeah, it's that was like a real crazy emotional connection. It made people cry like on set that were around us. So that was cool. We obviously connected in certain ways. But yeah, like some of those ones. Also, I'm just not like compelled to play that. Like I'll see like a really heavily emotional film like with tones, of like sadness and depression and like all come, like all that, how like some of the short films are like that because obviously they grab people. That's what they want to, that's what they've written about because it's helped them emotionally because they've probably been in some traumatic situation. That's why they've done this is help. This is awesome. But it's like not the characters that I'm compelled to play because I don't really want to do that. I mean, if it helps people, then that's good. But a lot of these things don't have good endings. They're like kind of just there for like these like art pieces and I don't know, I'm just not connected to be doing that. But also I think maybe I'm scared of not showing that on screen or anything, but not sure if I can get there on screen and like a few takes and do justice to that script or that person.
I hate the okay, this is probably gonna sound bad, but I hate those scripts that are like cry, it's like they just tell you, okay, character starts crying. Yeah. Like as an actor, I don't feel like I ever really like if I'm not feeling that emotion myself in that scene, like if it's not written in a way,
it's not honest in the moment. Yeah.
Like if the script writer hasn't written that scene in a way where it builds up to a point where I actually feel like, okay, I think this is going to bring out lots of emotion and there's going to be tears and stuff. I'm not going to force myself to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to cry. If I'm not, if I don't feel like it's at the right point in time. So, and I feel like I've read a lot of like scripts where like the crying is just not built up properly. Like, it's got to be built up. Like as a good writer, you have to build up to that point.
To earn that right to show that emotion.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you can't just be like, okay.
And for people to want to see it, otherwise it's forced in there and they're like, oh, okay, that was a bit put on. Like,
So whenever I read scripts where I feel like the crying's just not at the right place, I just don't. I'm like, if it's an audition or something, I'm like, I'm not going to cry. I'm like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel natural. It's not built up properly. Then I'm not going to force myself to be like, like cry.
Yeah, I think that just comes from, like not so good writing, right? And,
as well,
But it'd be... And I've had an instance like I was shooting the showreel scene, right? This isn't crying, but like of like forced emotion, like and the director like wanting the certain like I was in an interrogation scene, and they wanted me to like flip out in a certain way and pound the table. But it's like as an actor, you got to feel that urge and own that urge to hit the table in frustration or whatever. And if I'm not there, okay, maybe that's what it serves for and I should have been more worked up in the scene to get to there. But if I'm not feeling like hitting a table and it's not going to work and it doesn't come across right and I wasn't feeling it, but he like forced me to kind of do it. And I'm like, okay, like you're the director, I'll listen to you, like in it. But I knew it like came out for, and then when they edited it, they used that part, and it just didn't work. It was a disconnect for the character in the scene. I
think as a director, like I'm not a director obviously, but I feel like there has to be a way where you direct an actor to with goals rather than being like, oh, pound the table, maybe saying something like, like changing the goal around to make you more angry, I guess, or like to actually portray like a different emotion that would make you want to do something like that rather than giving you like a physical action.
Like sit in that frustration. How does that frustration make you feel? Okay, now do the scene. Rather than
maybe
being like, it's more of like
Yeah.
like a
It just
really
has to be-
suspenseful like pause or whatever of emotion and let it out because you want to smash the table or hurt the person, but you know it's not called for unless it is. Like it's I think it could be like inexperienced directing, you know, too.
Yeah.
Um,
I had an experience like that recently too, where I was kind of like they were just like forcing me to just deliver emotions, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But they were like it was like a student sort of film.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay,
and not learning too.
I was just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. I'll just see this as like a like training, like acting course class thing instead of being like, oh, this is a set and I have to do the best or whatever.
Yeah. That is a bit of a thing. Hey, have you been doing those because you just wanted to get back in the game kind of thing again?
A little bit, yeah.
I know the feeling. Yeah, it's kind of like there's not a lot around, you know, at the moment. And
yeah. So that was just like I don't want to like mention the names and stuff, but like but yeah, I did do like a few like student sort of things lately, but I can definitely, you know, feel the difference between like a student level production and then like a professional one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's levels to this shit. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just kind of doing it because I was like, oh, I'll just get more like showreel footage and whatever. Yeah. Wasn't taking it too seriously. So when I noticed that that it's like at a student level, I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, I can't expect more from it, like a student-based production, you know? It is what it is.
That's good, and that's probably maturity. You know, you're showing maturity of like
whereas back in the day, I feel like I would have been like, I need showreel footage. How dare you? Like,
and that's the thing. Hey, like I've had that too, and that's partly why I went with what this director was saying because I've gone against things before that the director and it's not. I guess you could say argued, and it was like you know, like maybe I was a bit too friendly with and it's like when it's directing time, it's directing time. You know, like you kind of separate yourself from it. It's and like I remember I slightly argued or pushed back on, you know, doing things a certain way or cutting scenes. I think it was out that there wasn't enough time to shoot and a thing, and I had to learn from that, you know. And he was right; probably didn't need to be there, and you know, you got to get through what you got to get through and shoot it. But yeah, I think that's why I went with. I was like, okay, man, if you want me to do that, I'll try and work it and do it as best as I can. But if you're not feeling that forced, it's forced, you know, emotion. Then you know, then that's going to come across on camera. Like it's that way. But okay,
100%.
Yeah.
I also think that like even though it's like some productions are like student level productions, like I feel like I try to see it from like a growth mindset now. Whenever I do if I ever do student stuff, I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, like every experience is an experience in some type of capacity, so I can learn something from it. So if I'm able to take direction from a bad director, then I should be able to take direction from a good director. So I was like, okay, if I can do really well with a bad director, then it's going to be better when I'm like with a good director, I guess, in a way. Yeah. So I tried to see that last student production I did in that sense. So I think I was kind of like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Even though the direction was quite bad, I was just like, no, let's see if I can do it. A little challenge, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Well, you find little things, to push yourself further or to get something from that that experience, right? And that's all you can do in the moment. Yeah. And sometimes you get gold out of it. But yeah, and that's definitely a maturity thing that obviously before you might not have had, right?
No, and, for sure. No, before I was too much like, no, this has to be the best.
Well, it's kind of like you've taken it on, you've chosen to do this film. You're like, you know why you're doing it. It's serving a purpose, like the stand-up comedy for me. And it's like, I'm getting back in the game. I'm doing it. I'll give it what I can. You know, if I don't agree with everything, that's fine. That's just part of the industry and like something you got to deal with down the track probably again. So at least you're facing it now. It is what it is, and you just roll with it, right? And just do the best you can in the moment. I mean, it sucks, like, because you always grow from a project no matter what it is, and then you look back and you're like, oh man, I'm so much better now than that when I did that project and when I did this.
Facts.
And
it's such a growth experience. For sure.
They all are. And I think that's why I encourage people to get on set more than just doing sometimes the workshops and stuff, because I feel like I like the hands-on. You know, when I'm doing anything, I like to be hands-on, like a sport or whatever. There's so much you can learn in the classroom.
True, yeah.
Like I like to do the thing. That's where you learn from failing. It's like life. You can't expect, like we were saying about life experiences, you can't expect to play you know, an emotionally sexual character if you're 12 years old and you've never even barely
Yeah.
hit puberty or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
no, exactly,
I mean, it's
yeah.
a terrible example, but
Yes.
it's an example in an
I get what
extreme
you're saying.
case.
I get what you're
like,
saying.
Of
Yeah.
it just come to me. I don't know why. But yeah, like it's you know, like you just don't have the tools there. You don't have the experiences to do the thing that you're trying to do. So you got to get them in some way. And I'm not saying that for 12-year-olds to go out and do anything like that. But so let's just stop
Just
that analogy
life
right now.
experience. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like life experience.
experiences say it all.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's it. But yeah, that's cool that you're doing the short films and stuff like that, and you're getting back into it.
Just getting back into it, just doing everything. Yeah. Enjoying it, having fun.
You're saying the other day, like you want to start like updating your show reel, you know, which is a constant thing for actors, right? Yeah,
definitely need to update my show reel, especially like you were saying before, how you watched your old footage or something. And, like I watched my old. Like it's not like I've got some newish stuff on there, but like some of it's from like years ago, and I watched it back now. And I'm like, like I could do so much better. Yeah. It's just one of those things. But yeah, definitely I want to like update my show reel.
Yeah. It's about just, constantly working, I guess. But it's always a beast to try and get. Like that's what you found out first. And it takes so long to get a show reel because it's so hard to get the footage.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then by the time you actually get it, you're so far past it that you're like, oh, well, now it's not even really good for me.
There's still productions I worked on like 7 years ago and I never got any footage. And I'm like,
it's the indie game people. That's what it's like. Yeah.
It's quite frustrating.
It is very frustrating. Yeah. But that's the thing. Yeah, you want to finish it. Hey.
Yeah.
But there's only so much in your hands at the time when you're doing it. And there's a lot that's out of your hands once it goes to post-production and things like that. So yeah, but I'm in the same boat too. Like some of the stuff I still thought, I'm like, you know, it's all right.
Yeah,
you know, like there's some decent stuff in there still. There's a few scenes that I'm pretty proud of that I've done. But I know now that I'm in the best place possible to approach this and approach the characters now. So like now I'm chomping at the bit to get on set and do this again. And it's partly like that creative motivation that I spoke about on the solo pod last episode was like I've started writing my own short film that I'm going to go into production with and stuff that. I'm like really looking forward to doing that one in so many avenues. But it's partly because I went on and I couldn't find, there was just nothing around.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just so hard. Sometimes you just got to create your own stuff.
And that's it. That's where I'm
sort of
left.
going, I'm like thinking that too. I'm like, I need to start like creating my own stuff because I can't find like roles that I want to audition for that I actually really like. I'm
that
like,
you want. The characters that you want to play. And that's partly what I want to do. Like, I'm just like, yep, I'm going to play the lead in this. Although there's a lot of lead characters kind of in it. I guess you could say there's a lot of characters in the film that I want to do, but it's definitely one that I've always wanted to play. And I'm just like, well, I'm writing myself into this one. But,
do it.
But it's good. But is that something that you've gone down? Have you done much writing yourself or production, producing or anything?
Not a whole heap in terms of like a film, but like I think like making my show was probably like the first time I've ever like fully just put myself out there and created something, like created a piece.
Yeah.
And like made it a performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made that. And like ever since like after I made that, like all the time I'm just like, I need to create something else. I need to create more. I need to create more. I need to like now that I feel like I was so scared to actually make my own work. But then now that I've got the first thing out of the way, now I'm just like, I want to do more. I got to create more. So yeah, I feel like I definitely want to go down the path a bit more of like trying to create my own stuff and maybe directing and writing and stuff. Writing has always been interesting though. Like I feel like I've always tried to write stuff, but it's like one of those things I'm like, I just really need the inspiration to know exactly what I want to write about. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. Because I tried to, many, many years ago, I tried to study a Bachelor of Film and like, I felt like the writing aspect, like I loved the learning about storytelling. Like I just thought it was so fascinating. But then having to write my own script and everything, I was like, But I'm sure if I find like a topic or like if I come up with like an idea and something that I should be able to write something.
Yeah. Well, now, like we keep saying, more life experience, right?
Yeah. But yeah, like maybe like one of those dream characters and like those roles that I want to play, I really should write something about. That's got something to do with them.
Or sometimes like it's good to co-collaborate with someone, you know, and there's nothing wrong with co-writing it. Like sometimes
that's a good idea.
what inspires you to do it, you know. I remember like one of my short films that I co-wrote it with a friend of mine, and we did that and it worked quite well, you know, like we just come up, like we storyboarding ideas and stuff and just the characters and things that we wanted to do, and then we just wrote the thing, and he probably typed up most of it, but it was just it's like a collaborative process of like, oh yeah, this character would say this and this and this, and yeah, it's good when you can get someone that you can do it like that with. But yeah, it's just like, once again, it's just starting. Hey, it's
like
just, that was it. We talked about it for like over a year, or probably longer. Then we finally just whatever collided at the time, you know, and we're like, okay, we got to do this. And once we started, the momentum once again just kept going, and then before you know it, you've written a script and you've edited it, and you're starting to cast the characters in production, and you're shooting it, and you've done it, and now you're in post. Like it's just a momentum thing. It all is. Everything's momentum. In this world.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I definitely want to make some more like theatre shows as well.
Yeah, well, that seems like it's up your alley, so to speak, of like, you know, freestyle kind of,
Yeah, I'd love to explore that avenue a bit of like combining acting and street dance a bit more, and like making more shows. Yeah. And not just myself, maybe like actually casting other people. Yes, it's not just me, so I don't have to play 4 characters. Yeah.
But it's pretty wicked though to go down that avenue and for a self-expression, like to play 4 different characters and like that.
It was fun.
how much of a crowd was there when you were doing it?
So it was a creative development, so we only had I think there was a max of 40 or 50 seats. Yeah, so that's how many I'm pretty sure was there. Yeah, like 40 to 50 people. Yeah. So it was just it was a pretty small crowd, but yeah, it was still like an exhilarating experience to just do that. Yeah.
Do you like that live performance more than acting? Like, what, you know, there's always this juggle. I have this chat with people that love theatre compared to film, you know, and funnily enough, they end up doing the other than what they say most of the times.
Right.
More see some success at it, you know.
Well, I kind of feel like they, you know, like theatre and film, although they are like seen as different, they are quite similar in a way. And I think, you know, acting, it originally started like with theatre, and then it evolved into like film and TV and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it is a good skill to have like to have theatre as well. But like in terms of which one I'd want to do more, that's a tough one, because I really enjoy both, to be honest. Yeah. And I think they both help each other. Huh?
You don't have to choose.
Okay, I'm not going to choose.
Well, especially like, you know, your crumping and stuff is like, it's kind of like a theatrical display, right? As well. So, and it's great to have those different avenues to play off of. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because theatre and that kind of performance is just so out there and can be embodying, I'm assuming, because I don't really do any theatre. But from so many people that I talk to about it, you know, it seems to be that where it's like film is kind of embodying but more controlled.
Yeah, it's more like internal, I feel like film.
Yeah.
Like it's more subtextual and internal, whereas theatre, you're performing, so it's got to be like your whole body, and like obviously the performance is way bigger, and you also have to think of like the back of the room in the theatre hall, they have to be able to hear you and stuff, and like, you know, not really thinking about that on film. I'm not like, I've got to make sure everyone can hear me. Like I'm more so stuck in the mind of the character. Internally when it comes to film, I think. So yeah, I think film is like more internal because the camera picks up everything, you know. So, you know, if you're thinking a certain way, the camera is gonna like show that. Whereas like on stage, if I'm just like thinking something, I expect like the back of the, like, you know, there's like 100 people in the auditorium, and if I think, if I'm thinking a certain way, the back of the crowd's going to be able to see it. Like, no, you have to actually express more physical. Like the physical side of your character a bit more. Yeah. So what was your question again?
There was no question. I was sort of, we started with the theatre and film, and then we just went on a tangent, which is what we do with this podcast.
Sweet.
You answered it correctly.
Okay,
if there was ever a correct or wrong answer, which
Sweet.
there isn't.
Sounds
so
good.
It's fantastic. So where to for you now? Like what's on the horizon? What do you have going on? What do you want to achieve in the Krump and, you know, theatre, film? Where do you feel where you're at now with your energy? You know, you seem good. You're ready to go. So
yeah.
where are you choosing to direct it?
You know, I'm still like fully figuring everything out myself, but I really enjoy teaching dance. And I think over the next like 2 years or so, I kind of want to step more into like a mentorship role with dance. And then within those 2 to 3 years, I can focus a bit more on acting as well. So yeah, I kind of want to step more into like a mentorship role, not just as a teacher, but just also like educating people, which is why I sort of created my podcast, although I haven't been active on it.
Yeah.
I've been super busy. Like I made all these goals and then all of a sudden all this other stuff just came and it was like, here you go, here you go, here you go. I was like, oh crap, okay. But yeah, I just want to educate people on like street dance. And also I want to create more ways of implementing street dance with acting, like what I did with my one woman show. So I like to create more projects which include both my street dance side and my acting side as well. So a bit of a mix of things. Yeah. I don't really put things like fully set in stone because I've noticed just from my journey that whenever I set things in stone, sometimes it just makes a big block for other opportunities that might come by. Yeah. So I give myself like ideas of what things that I want to do. And obviously I make a list and everything, but then I don't fully set things in stone because in case I miss out on other opportunities.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, hey, because I was sort of the same way like that. And I remember it was actually MJ that said this to me when I did a solo pod, like I think last year or whatever. And like I've been really impressed with what he's done with himself, you know, and his evolution of like his career that he's gone down and now like doing a lot of stunts and everything. But he's like, what? Like one of the questions, because I didn't know, I was going to do something, you know, personal about, and I was like, want people to get more in touch with me and stuff like that, you know. And I was like, asked people to submit questions if they wanted anything answered. And he's like, well, what's your 5-year plan? You know, what's your plan? And I'm just like, man, I'm someone that kind of like runs by the edge of their seat, you know, like I'm in the moment. I'm so in the moment. And that's what I love about life, you know, being in the moment and just making the most of all the opportunities that come my way, the momentum of things, the energy. I feel that's the organic place and where it all comes from. But I was like, yeah, maybe that's why I haven't quite achieved some of the things that I want to achieve yet, because I haven't set as like really firm goals of where I want to end up. And it's something I'm still honestly working on, but I've been a lot better at. And like you, I have lists and stuff like this and a lot of things, but I think I have like, not even blanketed goals, but like achievements that I know I want to, because, you know, like it's like about like having those yearly goals sort of, that's what I've kind of, and it's still something that I'm in the process of working out, but like yearly goals broken down to monthly goals to daily goals and kind of things like that. And it's like, you know, for me biting off like with the podcast, I want to do a lot more, but I soon realized how much of a beast it is with so much work that you got to do, which I'm sure you found out yourself, is that, okay, I can definitely do one a month. Yeah. That's what I can do at the moment. Yep. I'm really working on doing more. Yeah. And I've taken steps, including telling my boss that I'm not working Saturdays anymore. But that's because I want to do, I've booked him like to do stunt training as well. Nice. And acting training on Sundays, stunt training on Saturday mornings. And like, and just, you know, but I want to still, it allows me to still do more podcasts as well, probably. And that's the idea. But yeah, I did one a month, and that's what I set myself, and that's what I've been holding myself to and getting it done. And when I have things happen with guests, you know, or whatever that can't like, you know, come or this happens last minute, then I hold myself accountable and I go in and do a solo one, you know, which people seem to actually enjoy that I've done. But like, stuff like that. But then I'm like, okay, like, so I want to get on set a few more times. It's like I'm on set at the moment doing a bigger production, but little character thing, you know, not quite the roles that I want to be doing, but I want to be getting on set. I want to do my own production. So these are things that I'm doing, and I'm well in the momentum of doing. You know, and eventually, you know, having some more footage at the end of the year, so to speak, or the start of next year to propel myself forward, new headshots and stuff like it, you know, just all these things that you put down. But I still don't think I have a 5-year plan, so to speak, of what is going on. I have like, I like to like do it like as what I can bite and chew,
Yep.
and and then what I want to taste next,
Yep.
and like propel because obviously in this industry you kind of like marketing yourself ahead of where you're at anyway, like constantly, like that's kind of how you do it, and then you achieve that, but then you're pushing yourself the bit further by marketing yourself in this esteem, and it's just that I'm still really figuring out.
Yep.
I think we're all different too, but it seems like the successful people in life do have these plans. I don't know. But then again, you hear, especially in this industry too, that people just luck into all this stuff,
Yeah.
and just ride the momentum of things. And personally, that's where I think I do my best work, but
Yeah.
definitely.
It's all about what you do, but your best.
I think you got to lock into that, right?
I feel like some people probably work better with like not having like a 5-year type of plan. And some people maybe do. That's something that they made me do in acting school. They were like, oh, what's your 5-year plan? We have to do a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan.
Yeah,
I was like, y'all are crazy. Like,
10 years.
10 years. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing in 10 years. Like, dude, seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't been doing anything. And then I feel like when I lock myself up into like this idea of like, oh, I have to achieve this in 4 to 5 years or whatever, then what happens if I achieve it next year? Then like, what's my next goal is going to be like for the next?
Well, then you
3 or 4 years.
reevaluate, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
I think we're similar in that regard where we just like to go with the flow of things.
Same,
and I mean, that's where I feel like my power is too. Like I live in the moment with most things. That's where I think I'm the most genuine and authentic. That's what I want to tap into because I think that's the essence of me, of that shine that we speak about, to find that again. And you can get too regiment with all this stuff and then it takes away the beauty of what you're actually doing and enjoying life,
Yeah.
But I still think it's good to have goals, and if that works for you, But I just and I'm not even saying having manageable goals, but I think it's just time frame manageable goals. So you're not so because I can get overwhelmed with the pressure of things and put so much pressure on myself. And you can fold kind of in that too. Like everyone is just a bit different, hey, and I don't know. Like I'm still figuring it out too, but
I feel like when I think of like majority of my goals, like I think more so about like my goals within like my daily routine and like how I want to get better with like fitness and stuff like that. So like most of my goals revolve around like my personal life rather than like I have goals within acting and dancing as well. But I feel like if I can have like all these routines and rituals in my personal life, then that will make it easier, accessible within like dancing and acting because I'll become a better person and then I'll start attracting the things that I want within those industries as well.
Yeah.
So like just having like a daily routine is something that I'm trying to work on. I used to be so good at it, but then like I got super busy and I was like, I have to work on it all over again. Yeah. But like I feel like my goals are pretty simple, like to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think that's when things go the wayside, aren't they? When you get too caught up in everything. But it's good to keep yourself in check with those goals, I think, too. Because
all goals. So make your goals.
Make sure that you can achieve, right? Yeah, that's good. Well, I've had a great time talking to you anyway, Annikki.
Yes.
Thanks for stopping by and schooling us up on Krump and all things in that world. And you're acting and everything. Wish you all the best of everything you're doing. I'm stoked for you. I can see, you're in a good momentum swing of things and just, I hope you keep riding it and keep going.
Thank you. Likewise. Thanks for having me. It has been a pleasure and I have enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, me too. Righto, guys. That's us. We're out.